Financial stocks such as Bank of America getting hit hard today. Take a look. That's down more than 3% as investors continue to worry about the fallout from faulty foreclosures. One senior trader called it a dark cloud over the industry. Well, my next guest took a look at the origins of this crisis for the latest edition of Bloomberg Businessweek. I want to welcome the magazine's economics editor, Peter Coy. And Peter, we got dueling versions of the magazine, actually the same cover, right? Shredded. This has to do with the fact that the foreclosure process is now coming back to haunt everybody associated with the subprime crisis. It's almost as if this is the gift that just keeps on giving, right?
Well, the guy we feature in the beginning of the article, Joe Lentz, 65-year-old guy, retired CPA down in Boca Raton, Florida, has not paid on his mortgage since 2002, and he's still living in the house because he's been fighting off the attempts to foreclose on him by saying, show me the note. They can't produce the promissory note. And so the judges say, well, come back when you get the note. 8 years now. So, can you imagine how that would panic the banks if more and more people started getting away with that kind of thing?
Well, this is not just a case where the judges are saying in isolated cases, show me the actual paper, because in the story you make pretty clear that the judge's reaction is, wait a minute, this isn't turning out to be like one case, two cases. This is hundreds and hundreds of cases, and they're saying, well, wait a minute, maybe the system is really broken here.
It is broken. I mean, they got into this pattern of saying, we don't need to make sure that the note transfers from one party to another through the chain as it is resold. We'll just make it electronic. And as long as the electronic records are intact, that's all that matters. But imagine the potential for carelessness and fraud that opens up. How do we even know that the same note isn't being promised to more than one owner? It's really hard to tell that with this electronic privatized system, and the public record-keeping system is broken down.
Well, I had Mike Farrell from Annaly Capital on the program, and he said, what did people expect? It was garbage into the system, and now you've got it, going through the whole foreclosure process, and it's kind of backing up like in a plumbing system. And what did you expect? It's the same stuff that you put in. So what's the resolution, Peter?
Well, you mentioned the stocks that are down. Another stock that was down very sharply today, Fidelity National,
That's right.
Biggest title insurance company probably in the country, down 12% today. The CEO announced late yesterday that he's going to step down to a lesser position, executive VP, and the company said that it's going to cut its dividend payout ratio from around 60% to 30%. So more and more companies are being enmeshed in this. The resolution, is really far too early to tell, but we can say that there's no light at the end of the tunnel at this point. There's just, that's what the guy you mentioned before talking about a dark cloud. That's exactly what there is. There's a dark cloud of confusion and uncertainty over the entire financial industry because of this subprime crisis, which morphed into a generalized financial crisis.
Now, let me throw out that very expensive word now, securitization.
Securitization.
Because it's not just the mortgages and people like Mr. Lentz in Boca Raton, Florida, that are facing this issue of where's the paper.
Right.
This paper was then chopped up into very itsy-bitsy pieces and used to sort of build these securities that were then sold to a variety of investors. And I guess they were sold, what, with warranties and some kind of guarantee that they were actually selling what they purported to sell. Now that's in question in the system.
So JP Morgan Securities came out October 15th with a report saying that from 2005 to 2007, which was some of the very worst mortgages were being written, approximately $6 trillion worth of mortgages were put into securities. Of that, roughly $2 trillion, a third, are going to suffer some kind of default. The losses from those to the securities will be about $1.1 trillion. Now, probably most of that loss will be borne by the securities holders, but some of them are managing now to put those losses back on the banks, saying there was the securities don't contain what they were purported to contain. So they estimate $55 billion or so of losses being suffered by the banks because of the bad securitization. So yeah, this is a clash of the titans going on here, which is what we focus on in this week's cover story.
I'm still at the $2 trillion mark. I mean, it's amazing the amount of money that's involved here. So is there some kind of general plan? I mean, in the story you talk about states' attorneys general getting together and trying to formulate some plan, because a lot of the judges saying, hey, wait a minute, if the lawyers are going to come before me, I want to see the documentation. I want to know that you did your work to get it all organized before you do the foreclosure. Right.
The state attorneys general, various state judges are questioning the process. The feds are starting to come in strong. And in fact, they're actually looking into the possibility of criminal prosecution on this.
This just sounds like you're going to be, this is a gift for journalists like you. You're going to be writing about this for a while.
It is. Yeah.
I want to thank you very much. Peter Coy coming to us, economics editor, Bloomberg Businessweek. Great cover story.